In the Kybalion's forbidden chapter, you will uncover the hidden teaching of the ancients. Time does not move forward. It reflects outward from the eternal now. Through the sacred art of playing life backward, you'll awaken to the truth that your desires are not waiting to arrive. They are calling you to remember what was always yours. The Kybalion's forbidden chapter. Introduction. In the shadowed halls of the ancient temples, beneath the gaze of timeless deities, a secret was spoken only in whispers. What you seek lies not ahead, but behind. Those few who heard and understood it awakened to a truth forbidden to the unready. That time itself is a veil drawn by the mortal mind. For the universe does not move in a straight path, but spirals in eternal reflection. As a mirror reveals what stands behind while seeming to face forward, so too does your future arise not from what is to come, but from what you already believe to have been. To master this hidden art, to play life backward, is to step beyond the bondage of cause and effect. You cease to chase creation forward through effort. Instead, you return to the still point where all beginnings and endings are one. This is not memory nor imagination. It is divine remembrance, the awakening of reality from within itself. Gaze upon the sea, and you will see. The waves do not advance, they return. Every crest contains its own origin, every motion its own stillness. So too does your consciousness move in all directions, yet appear bound by the illusion of time. The ancient initiates knew what you call the effect is merely the cause seen through the glass of sequence. Reverse your sight, and you shall behold yourself as the source. This is the forbidden wisdom, the lost chapter of the Kybalion. Time flows not forward but outward from the eternal now. The future you seek is not waiting in front of you. It is reaching backward, inviting you to remember what you have always been. Guard this truth in silence, for its power grows in stillness. Within it lies the mastery of all manifestation. Before we get into the book, comment "I am ready" to affirm your intention to the universe. Part 1. The Reversal of Perception. Chapter 1. The Echo Before the Sound. In the depths of time, there lived a young woman named Hazel, who understood a truth few others had glimpsed. Each morning, she would walk to the edge of an ancient well and whisper her deepest yearnings, not as wishes yet to manifest, but as gratitude for what had already come to pass. What puzzled those who witnessed her ritual was that days or weeks later, exactly what she had given thanks for would materialize in her life. The secret Hazel had discovered lies at the heart of the universe's most powerful law. Thought moves not in one direction, but in an eternal circle. When you plant a seed of intention, it ripples both forward and backward through the fabric of time itself. Your future self already exists, already possesses what you desire, and reaches back through the ages to guide you toward that reality. Just as a stone cast into still waters creates ripples that move outward, your thoughts cast into the universe create waves that travel in all directions through time. But here lies the deeper mystery. Those ripples also move backward, returning to the moment before the stone touched the water. The surface was never truly disturbed. It simply remembered its original stillness. One evening, as twilight painted the sky in shades of amber, Hazel sat beside a small pond in the temple gardens. As she watched, A leaf fell upon the water's surface. But instead of ripples spreading outward from the point of contact, she witnessed something extraordinary. The ripples moved backward, gathering toward the leaf until the water was perfectly still. In that moment she understood. The water had not found peace. It had remembered it was never truly disturbed. This truth extends to all of creation. What appears as manifestation is actually remembrance. What seems like attraction is recognition. Your desires do not await you in some distant future. They echo backward from their fulfillment, guiding you home to what was always yours. Ancient practice. As the day surrenders to dusk, find a quiet place where you can be alone. Close your eyes and imagine your future self, the one who has already received everything you now seek. Listen as that wiser version of you speaks words of gratitude for the path that led to fulfillment. Now, respond aloud to your future self, acknowledging the guidance. Feel how your words seem to bend the very air around you, creating a bridge between now and then, between seeking and finding, between desire and manifestation. Chapter 2. The Ladder Made of Reflections. A merchant named Cliff stood at the base of a towering mountain, his eyes fixed upon its peak where he believed all his fortunes awaited. Day after day he climbed, marking his progress by the height gained, forever pushing upward toward what he imagined was success. His hands grew calloused, his shoulders heavy with the weight of constant striving. One evening, exhausted from his ceaseless climbing, he paused beside a crystal lake. As the sun settled into twilight, the still waters offered a perfect reflection of his mountain. In that moment, a remarkable truth revealed itself to you through Cliff's experience. The mountain in the lake pointed downward, yet appeared no less real, no less attainable than its physical counterpart. Every step toward the heights is simultaneously a journey into the depths. The universe operates through perfect pairs, success and failure, abundance and lack, rising and falling, each containing its opposite in perfect balance. When you struggle upward toward your desires, you are also descending into the wisdom that already exists within you. The law of polarity whispers this timeless truth. What appears as opposition is merely perspective in disguise. Your obstacles rise before you like mountains, yet in the mirror of consciousness, these very barriers reveal themselves as depths of untapped potential. Every challenge that towers above contains, in its inverted reflection, the key to its own transformation. In a village near that same lake lived a young child who spent hours gazing at her reflection in the water. She would stand on her head at the water's edge, giggling at how the world appeared to right itself in the reflection. Through her innocent play, she grasped what many spend lifetimes seeking to understand. That reality is but a dance of perspectives, each view as valid as its inverse. This simple truth unveils the mystery of manifestation. The path to your desires need not be an endless upward climb. By inverting your perception, what once seemed like insurmountable heights becomes an easy descent into your own infinite potential. Sacred practice. As darkness embraces the world tonight, choose one challenge that has seemed to tower before you. Stand before it in your mind's eye, then imagine its reflection in still waters. See how what appears as an obstacle above becomes a pathway below. Speak these words with quiet certainty. I bless this barrier, for in its inverse lies my passage. What rises before me descends within me. Let the obstacle dissolve into its mirror image and watch as resistance transforms into flow. Chapter 3. The Clock That Learned to Breathe. In a small antique shop between time-worn buildings, a peculiar inheritance awaited. A weathered timepiece, its brass face dulled by ages past, found its way into your hands. Unlike ordinary clocks that march eternally forward, this one moved in reverse, its hands tracing an ancient dance counterclockwise across the hours. You might dismiss such an object as broken, cast it aside as many would. But the universe speaks in symbols, and this clock carries wisdom from beyond the veil of conventional understanding. For in its backward motion lies a truth the ages have whispered. Time itself is but the mind's measure of eternal now. As you watch the hands move in their mysterious backward dance, something extraordinary begins to unfold. Your heartbeat, once synchronized with the forward march of minutes, starts to attune itself to this reversed rhythm. In this alignment, a profound truth emerges. Time is not a tyrant pushing you forward, but a servant of consciousness itself. The great law reveals, what appears as linear progression is merely the mind's way of organizing infinite possibility. When you step outside this self-imposed order, you touch the eternal moment where all creation resides. This is not mere philosophy. It is the operating system of reality itself. Watch as the hands sweep backward, each tick an invitation to release your grip on sequence and causation. Feel how your breath naturally follows, how your thoughts begin to flow not from past to future, but from completion to inception. This is the sacred art of reverse manifestation, beginning with the end already accomplished. Through the backward clock, you learn to see time as the ancients did, not as a line stretching from past to future, but as a circle where every point touches eternity. When the clock finally stops, you understand. It hasn't ceased to measure time. It has expanded to embrace all moments at once. This is the hidden teaching. When you align with the backward flow, you step outside time's illusion into the realm of pure potential. Here, your desires don't await future fulfillment. They echo backward from their own completion. Ancient practice. Sit in stillness with eyes closed. Begin to breathe in an unusual pattern. Exhale first, then inhale. With each backward breath, feel gratitude for what your heart desires, as if it has already manifested. As you exhale, release all sense of waiting or seeking. Continue this practice until time dissolves into the eternal now. Let each breath remind you, what you seek is already seeking you. Chapter 4. The Candle of Returning Light. In a dimly lit chamber, a merchant named Arthur sat before an unlit candle. Night after night he would light it, watching intently as the wax slowly transformed. But this evening was different. As the flame danced, he closed his eyes and began to envision the melted wax rebuilding itself, drop by drop, until the candle stood whole again. This simple act awakened something within him, a truth that had eluded mankind's grasp for centuries. The universe whispered its secrets through this humble ritual. Destruction and creation are not opposing forces, but rather two aspects of the same divine breath. When you witness the candle's flame, you perceive only half the miracle. The apparent destruction of the wax is simultaneously its rebirth into light and warmth. Just as water does not truly vanish when it becomes vapor, nothing in your life truly ends. It merely changes form. The great law reveals that every ending contains within it the seed of a new beginning. What appears as loss in the forward flow of time is actually the preparation for gain when viewed through the lens of reversed perception. Your setbacks, challenges, and apparent failures are not endpoints, but transformative gateways. As Arthur deepened his contemplation, the candle revealed another vision. Within the dancing flame, the pooled wax began to take shape, forming what appeared to be angel wings, a symbol of transcendence emerging from apparent destruction. This vision taught him that divine messages often appear in the midst of what seems like dissolution. You too possess this power of alchemical vision. What you perceive as endings are truly doorways to new beginnings. The universe operates in cycles of continuous transformation, each phase containing elements of both death and rebirth. The ancient practice of reversed alchemy. As you prepare for sleep tonight, find a quiet moment in darkness. Close your eyes and allow the events of your day to melt gently backward into pure light. Watch as each experience, whether pleasant or challenging, dissolves into its original essence. Feel the warm glow of rebirth emanating from what appeared to be ashes. In this sacred space between waking and sleeping, witness how every ending transmutes into a new beginning. The candle's wisdom teaches us that nothing is ever truly lost. It simply changes form in the eternal dance of becoming. Through this practice, you align yourself with the cosmic law of perpetual transformation, where every end ignites a new beginning. Chapter 5. The Bird That Flew from Tomorrow. In a garden veiled by morning mist, Nora sat quietly beneath an ancient oak tree. As the first light of dawn painted the horizon, something extraordinary occurred. A melodic trill filled the air, yet no bird was in sight. Moments later, a nightingale appeared on a branch, as if summoned by its own future song. Within this mystery lies a fundamental truth about the nature of creation. You may believe that events unfold in a linear sequence, first the bird, then its song. But the universe operates through a more subtle orchestration. The vibration of what you seek already exists, calling forth its physical manifestation. Think of how music exists in the composer's mind before it touches the strings of an instrument. Your desires operate in the same way. They are already complete in the realm of pure potential, waiting for your recognition to bring them into form. The secret of manifestation reveals itself through this sacred understanding. Emotion is the bridge between the unseen and the seen. When you assume the feeling of your wish fulfilled, you are not waiting for reality to change. You are aligning with what already exists in completion. As Nora watched in wonder, she witnessed a second miracle. A gentle breeze carried the echo of birdsong, but this time she understood. The song was not creating the future. It was calling forth what already existed in the eternal now. The nightingale appeared, not because it would sing, but because it had always been singing. This wisdom transforms your relationship with creation. You need not push reality forward through force of will. Instead, attune yourself to the vibration of what you desire as if it were already accomplished. Feel the joy, the peace, the abundance as present facts, not future possibilities. The universe responds not to what you want, but to what you are. When you emanate the frequency of fulfillment, physical reality has no choice but to reflect this truth. Like the nightingale appearing to match its song, Your circumstances will align with your emotional frequency. Your world is not built by the forward march of time, but by the resonance of your being. Each moment holds infinite potential, waiting to be called forth by your state of consciousness. The future does not arrive. It emerges from the song you sing in your heart today. Ancient practice of vibrational harmony. Find a quiet space where you won't be disturbed. Close your eyes and allow a soft hum to rise from your heart. Not a melody of longing, but the pure tone of joy already fulfilled. Let this be the sound of tomorrow's happiness played through your being today. Listen deeply as your hum fills the space around you. Feel how the universe begins to dance to your frequency, rearranging itself in harmony with your song. You are not creating what will be. You are calling forth what has always been. This is not mere visualization or wishful thinking. You are engaging with the fundamental nature of reality itself. Like the nightingale's song that preceded its appearance, your vibration of joy is the template around which matter itself will organize. Chapter 6. The Invisible Composer. In a dimly lit concert hall, Leo sat before a grand piano, his fingers hovering above the keys. For years he had composed by pressing notes in sequence, building melodies forward through time. But on this night, in the depths of silence, he experienced an awakening that would transform his understanding of creation itself. As Leo closed his eyes, he perceived something extraordinary. Music already existed in the quiet, not as sound, but as pure potential waiting to be recognized. The silence wasn't empty. It held every possible melody in perfect completion. His role wasn't to create music, but to allow it to emerge from its finished state. This revelation unveils a universal principle. What appears to be the end result actually initiates the journey. Your achievements don't manifest because you strive. You strive because they already exist in completion, pulling you toward their realization. When you grasp this truth, the mechanics of manifestation reveal themselves. The universe doesn't build reality brick by brick. It works backward from completion. Your fulfilled desires aren't waiting in some distant future. They echo backward through time, orchestrating the very steps that seem to create them. In a small village square, Leo encountered a street musician who taught him an ancient secret. The old man placed his hands on the piano and played a single note, the final note of an unknown composition. Then, as if pulled by an invisible thread, his fingers danced backward across the keys. Each preceding note seemed to flow naturally from what had already been played, until a complete masterpiece emerged in reverse. "You see," the old man whispered, "the ending shapes what comes before. The finale designs its own beginning." This wisdom applies to every aspect of life. Your success doesn't result from your actions. Your actions arise from success that already exists in completion. Your abundance isn't created by your efforts. Your efforts are guided by abundance that already is. The practice. Before initiating any endeavor, first sit quietly and immerse yourself in the emotion of its completion. Feel the satisfaction, joy, or peace that accompanies fulfillment. Let this feeling guide your actions, knowing they are simply aligning with what already exists in the eternal now. Continue your work until the physical world catches up to what your heart already knows to be true. Chapter 7. The River That Flowed Skyward. In an ancient valley where wisdom whispers through the ages, a young woman named Clara walked along a riverbank at dawn. The air held that sacred stillness unique to early morning, when the veil between worlds grows thin. As the first rays of sunlight pierced the morning mist, she witnessed something that defied all natural laws. Droplets of water began to rise from the river's surface, ascending in graceful spirals toward the waiting clouds above. At first, Clara doubted her own eyes. Yet as she watched, understanding dawned within her heart. The rising waters revealed a truth that had been hidden in plain sight since the beginning of time. What ascends must descend, and what descends must rise again. This eternal dance of elements mirrors the deeper mechanics of creation itself. You see, the universe operates through perfect correspondence. Just as water rises to become clouds before returning as rain, your desires and intentions follow this same cosmic pattern. When you launch a wish into the universe, it doesn't simply vanish into the void. It rises, transforms, and returns multiplied. But here lies the sacred secret. Gratitude need not wait for manifestation. Just as Clara observed the water's ascension before it became clouds, you can offer thanks for blessings while they still exist in potential form. This is not mere positive thinking. It is aligning yourself with the natural law of correspondence. As Clara continued to watch the ascending mist, tears welled in her eyes. But rather than letting them fall, she imagined them rising, floating upward like the river's spray. In that moment, she understood that her tears of gratitude were not a response to receiving, but a catalyst for creation. The cosmos responds not to what you want, but to what you have already accepted as real in your heart. When you thank the universe for something not yet visible to mortal eyes, you acknowledge its existence in the realm of pure potential. This recognition draws it into physical manifestation, just as surely as rising mist becomes clouds and clouds become rain. Think of gratitude not as a reaction but as a creative force. When you give thanks for what appears absent, you create a vacuum that the universe must fill. This is the hidden power of reverse gratitude, thanking backward through time until your desire manifests forward into form. To activate this principle in your own life, seek the quiet moments before dawn. Close your eyes and feel the presence of your desire as if it already exists. Let gratitude rise from your heart like mist from a river. Thank the universe not for what you see, but for what you know awaits in the realm of pure potential. Ancient practice. Choose one cherished desire, and, before the sun rises tomorrow, give thanks for its fulfillment as if it has already occurred. Feel the gratitude rising from your heart like morning mist ascending to the heavens. Watch as your joy condenses into physical reality, drawn downward by the same law that returns rain to the earth. Chapter 8. The Whisper at the End of Thought. In a monastery among ancient mountains, a young scribe named Caleb spent his days copying sacred texts, his mind perpetually tangled in questions. Each stroke of his quill brought forth new doubts, until the weight of uncertainty began to bend his shoulders like a heavy winter snow. One evening, as shadows lengthened across the monastery walls, Caleb noticed something peculiar. Before his thoughts could fully form into questions, answers seemed to whisper in the corners of his consciousness. At first he dismissed these whispers as imagination, yet they persisted with unwavering clarity. The universe speaks in reverse, This truth has echoed through the halls of wisdom since time immemorial. You may have noticed this phenomenon in your own life when solutions arise before problems fully materialize, or when understanding dawns before the question takes shape. This is no accident. The great mind, in its infinite wisdom, operates beyond the linear constraints of human thought. Just as light exists before eyes open to perceive it, answers float in the eternal now, waiting for questions to catch up to them. Consider how often you have known something without knowing how you knew it. That knowing, that pure, unfiltered wisdom, emerges from the depths of universal intelligence. It requires no analysis, no careful consideration. It simply is. Caleb discovered this truth one night while preparing his ink. As his hand reached for the wrong ingredient, the correction arose in his awareness before his conscious mind could register the error. In that moment, he understood. Wisdom flows backward through time, meeting us before we think to seek it. The second evening, as Caleb sat in the monastery garden, a fellow monk approached with a troubled expression. Before the monk could speak his concern, Caleb found himself offering precisely the guidance needed. The words flowed not from thought, but from that deeper well of knowing that exists prior to all questions. This reveals a fundamental truth about consciousness. Wholeness precedes fragmentation. The answer exists in unity before the question divides experience into pieces. When you learn to trust this backward-flowing wisdom, you step into alignment with the natural order of understanding. Caleb's revelation transformed his relationship with uncertainty. He stopped forcing his mind to chase answers and instead learned to rest in the silence where wisdom already dwells. His questions became not desperate searches, but gentle acknowledgments of the understanding already present within. You, too, possess this innate connection to universal wisdom. The answers you seek have already found their way to you, waiting quietly beneath the surface of conscious thought. They whisper in the spaces between your questions, in the pause before your mind begins its familiar search. Ancient practice. When uncertainty arises, pause mid-thought. Let your question hang unfinished in the air. In that suspended moment, listen to the silence that preceded your inquiry. Feel the answer that has always been humming beneath your tongue. Trust the wisdom that flows backward through time, meeting you before you think to ask. Chapter 9. The Mask That Wore Its Owner. In a bustling city square, a street performer named Flora practiced her art of transformation. Each morning she would paint her face in different characters, a mysterious fortune-teller, a wise crone, a jubilant fool, searching through these masks for some deeper understanding of herself. The crowd would gather, mesmerized by her ability to shift between personas as effortlessly as leaves change in autumn winds. Through these transformations, you will discover a truth that has waited patiently in every reflection you've ever glimpsed. The observer and the observed are one. The ancient masters spoke of this paradox. That which you seek to become is already seeking you. Flora's revelation came unexpectedly one evening as she removed her makeup before a tarnished mirror. As she wiped away the last traces of that day's character, she caught a glimpse of movement in the glass that didn't match her own. The reflection seemed to laugh, not mockingly, but with the gentle amusement of one who knows a secret too wonderful to keep. In that moment, The mask itself appeared to be watching her, and Flora understood. She had not been wearing disguises. The disguises had been wearing her. Each character she embodied was merely the universe trying on different aspects of itself, playing at being Flora, playing at being someone else. You see, the self you believe yourself to be is not the creator of your experiences. It is the experience itself, reflected backward through time. What you call your identity is the universe's greatest performance, an eternal dance of consciousness folding back upon itself to witness its own magnificence. When you don these various roles in life, parent, worker, artist, friend, you believe you are stepping into them. Yet the deeper truth reveals that these roles are merely the infinite expressing itself through your unique form. You are not the actor becoming the character. You are the stage upon which the universal consciousness performs its endless play. Just as ripples in a pond move both outward and inward simultaneously, your sense of self flows in both directions. What you perceive as your personality reaching out to shape the world is actually the world reaching inward to shape you. This is the great inversion, the mirror that reflects not just image, but essence. A second story whispers through time. An old master once asked his student to point to her face. The student raised her finger to her features. "No," said the master, "that is merely the mask. Your true face is the one looking out from behind your eyes. The masks you wear are not barriers to your authentic self. They are that self, fragmented through the prism of perception, each facet reflecting a different aspect of the whole. When you understand this, every role you play becomes sacred, every gesture an act of divine recognition. Ancient practice. Stand before a mirror in the soft light of dawn or dusk. Rather than looking at your reflection, allow yourself to be looked at by it. Smile not with your lips, but with your awareness. Wait until you perceive the reflection smiling first, for it will, the moment you realize that consciousness precedes form. In this gentle inversion lies the key to understanding who truly observes whom. Chapter 10. The Door that Opens Inward Out. In the shadow of towering monastery walls, a young monk named Ray spent countless hours in meditation, striving with fierce determination to achieve enlightenment. Day after day, he sat cross-legged, forcing his mind into stillness, attempting to break through to higher consciousness as though it were a fortress to be conquered. The universe whispers a secret that few have understood throughout the ages. What you seek through force will forever remain just beyond your grasp. The law of reverse action governs all spiritual attainment. The harder you push, the more firmly reality pushes back. As you journey through your own awakening, recognize that the doorway you believe stands locked before you is already open behind you. The key lies not in doing, but in undoing, not in reaching, but in releasing, not in conquering, but in surrendering. Ray's breakthrough arrived not in the hours of rigid discipline, but in a moment of exhausted release. One evening, after another failed attempt to force his way to enlightenment, he noticed an ancient door in the monastery's garden. Its rusted handle had confounded many who tried to push it open. Without thinking, Ray gently pulled instead. The door swung wide with ease. In that instant, understanding dawned. All his spiritual striving had been like pushing against a door marked pull. The very effort to achieve enlightenment had been the obstacle itself. True wisdom lay not in forceful seeking, but in gentle allowing. This truth manifests again in nature's quiet teaching. In a sheltered corner of the garden, Ray observed a flower at dusk. Rather than stretching open as he expected, the blossom appeared to draw inward, and through this very withdrawal, it opened into full bloom. The flower's petals didn't fight their way into beauty, they surrendered into it. The flower's unfolding mirrors your own path to awakening. What seems like closure from one perspective reveals itself as opening from another. The journey inward leads to the vastness you seek externally. Ancient practice. When you encounter resistance today, pause. Rather than pushing against what blocks you, turn your awareness gently inward. Let your breath soften. Feel how the universe responds to this subtle shift, like a door discovering it was never locked, like a flower blooming through the act of letting go. The barriers you perceive are invitations to surrender, and in that yielding lies your freedom. Part 2. The Art of Retrocreation. Chapter 11. The Shadow That Led the Sun. As twilight painted the sky in soft violets, a traveler named Tilly walked along an ancient path winding through fields of tall grass. Before her, her shadow stretched long and graceful, moving with an otherworldly awareness that caught her attention. While most would see only darkness cast upon the ground, she witnessed something remarkable. Her shadow wasn't following, but leading. This sight unveils one of the most sacred mysteries of creation. Your consciousness moves ahead of physical manifestation, casting shapes of possibility into which reality flows. What appears as a shadow of yourself is actually the template of your becoming. You have been taught that effects follow causes, that shadows trail behind. Yet in the higher realms of spirit, this sequence reveals itself as inverted. Your thoughts, your visions, your deepest beliefs, these are not merely reactions to what is, but architects of what shall be. They stretch before you like Tilly's shadow, carving channels through which physical experience must flow. As Tilly watched her shadow guide her steps, she understood that her future was not a distant horizon to be reached, but a shape already formed by her consciousness, waiting for her present self to step into alignment. The world you experience tomorrow is being cast by the light of your awareness today. In a grove of ancient trees, Tilly observed how her shadow took on a majestic quality, seeming to move with grace and purpose she had yet to fully embody. This reveals another layer of truth. The perfected version of yourself already exists, projecting backward through time, inviting you to grow into its form. When you understand this principle, manifestation becomes an act of following rather than forcing. Like Tilly allowing her shadow to guide her path, you learn to trust the shapes your highest consciousness has already cast. Success is not about pushing forward into unknown territory, but stepping into the outline your spirit has already drawn. The universe exists in eternal now, where all possibilities are simultaneously present. What appears to be future manifestation is simply you aligning with forms your consciousness has already created. Your shadow self is not a dark reflection, but a blueprint of your becoming. Sacred practice. In the quiet of evening, stand in soft light and observe your shadow. Close your eyes and envision your most radiant self walking ahead, leaving luminous footprints of possibility. With each step you take, Feel yourself moving not toward, but into this brightest version of you. Let your physical body follow the path your consciousness has already blessed. Chapter 12. The String That Sang Itself. A craftsman named Miles sat in his workshop, surrounded by tools and half-finished instruments. His calloused hands held a guitar with one broken string, its silence a reminder of imperfection. For hours he attempted to tune the remaining strings, seeking harmony through adjustment and control. Yet perfection eluded his grasp, each note falling short of his ideal. As shadows lengthened across his workbench, something extraordinary occurred. The broken string, untouched by human hands, began to hum. Its voice pure and true, it sang a note that existed beyond the realm of physical tension and technical precision. In that moment, Miles witnessed the reversal of musical creation, the sound calling forth its own instrument. Here lies a fundamental truth of universal law. Vibration precedes manifestation. Just as Miles discovered that perfect pitch existed before physical tuning, your desires already resonate in the fabric of reality before their physical expression. The common mind believes that we must first create the conditions for harmony, then wait for music to emerge. This perception flows backward, like a river trying to reach its source by moving downstream. Through the broken string's spontaneous song, you glimpse the higher principle. What you seek to create already exists in pure vibration. Your role is not to force it into being, but to align your instrument, your consciousness, with the note already playing in the eternal now. In the evening light, Miles observed another wonder. As the miraculous humming continued, the other strings began to tune themselves, adjusting to match the harmony that had always existed in potential. This reveals the second layer of wisdom. When you align with the vibration of your fulfilled desire, reality reshapes itself to match that frequency. Think of your own life as an instrument, the perfect note of your desires, be it love, abundance, or purpose, already sounds in the universe. Your task is not to create it, but to become so perfectly attuned that you naturally resonate with what already is. The string that played itself teaches that manifestation flows from belief to logic, not the reverse. The mind seeks to understand before accepting, but the universe operates through inverse order. First comes the pure vibration of knowing, then physical reality aligns to match it. Sacred practice. Choose one desire close to your heart. Rather than wishing for it, remember it, as though it has already manifested. Feel its reality humming through every fiber of your being. Let this vibration tune your life's strings until all resonates in perfect harmony with what already exists in the eternal now. Your consciousness is the instrument. Let it be played by the song that has always been singing. Chapter 13. The Painter of Unborn Colors. In an ancient mountain village, Lucy lived among dye makers and weavers. Each day she watched them extract hues from flowers, roots, and minerals, transforming white cloth into rainbows. Yet something within her whispered of colors that existed beyond the visible spectrum, shades that danced in dreams and whispered in meditation. One misty dawn, while grinding indigo leaves into paste, Lucy closed her eyes in fatigue. In that moment of surrender, an extraordinary awareness bloomed within her consciousness. Behind her closed lids, she witnessed not darkness, but an infinite cascade of colors that had no names, hues that existed in realms untouched by physical light. This experience unveils a truth the ancients guarded carefully. What appears as new creation is actually ancient wisdom rising to the surface of consciousness. The universe does not generate. It remembers. Every color you see today existed in the void before light first sparked. Every shade you imagine tomorrow already vibrates in the depths of the eternal now. As Lucy sat in her revelation, she understood that her longing to discover new colors was not a forward-reaching desire, but a backward-flowing remembrance. The unseen spectrums were not waiting to be invented. They were waiting to be recognized, to be called forth from the depths where all potential resides. When your consciousness expands beyond the visible spectrum of daily experience, you tap into the infinite palette that painted existence into being. Your creative power lies not in pushing forward into unexplored territory, but in reaching backward into the limitless source from which all manifestation springs. Just as Lucy discovered infinity behind her closed eyes, the power to transform your reality already exists within your consciousness. The universe does not create anew. It remembers itself through you. Your role is not to force new realities into being, but to allow the unseen to emerge through your awareness. The mysteries of creation unfold, not through striving, but through remembering. The future you seek to create already exists in the deeper past, waiting to surface through your recognition. Your desires are not reaching forward in time. They are reaching backward into the infinite well of all possibility. Ancient practice, the emergence of the unseen. Find a quiet space where you won't be disturbed. Close your eyes and breathe deeply. Begin by imagining pure emptiness, vast and limitless. Feel the pregnant potential of colorlessness. Now, with each breath, allow color to birth itself naturally in your awareness. Don't force or create. Simply witness as new hues emerge from the void, painting themselves into existence through your consciousness. Let your intention be the brush that reveals what has always existed in the unseen realms of being. Before we get into the next chapter, you can download a free ebook version of this audiobook using the link in the pinned comment below this video. Chapter 14. The Mirror in the Sand. Along the ancient shoreline, where wisdom and water meet, a merchant named Vernon discovered an unusual practice. Each morning at dawn, he would trace his deepest desires into the wet sand, watching as each wave gradually erased his words, not from beginning to end, but from end to beginning, as though time itself flowed in reverse. What appeared at first as frustration soon revealed itself as sacred instruction. The universe operates through paradox. What you wish to keep, you must first release. What you desire to manifest, you must first surrender. This truth lies encoded in the rhythm of waves, in the pulse of stars, in the breath of all living things. As you align with this ancient wisdom, understand that manifestation flows backward through consciousness. The tighter you grasp at outcomes, the more they slip through your fingers like grains of sand. Yet when you write your intention and allow it to dissolve back into the infinite, you activate the primal law of creation. Release precedes reception. Think of a pond disturbed by a stone. The ripples move outward, yet if you could reverse their motion, they would spiral back to the point of impact, leaving the surface pristine. So too must your desires return to their source in the unmanifest realm before they can materialize in your reality. Vernon's second revelation came when he noticed something extraordinary. The wishes that dissolved most completely into the sea were precisely the ones that manifested most powerfully in his life. The wave's erasure was not destruction, but transformation, turning word into wave, wave into reality. This teaches us the ultimate paradox of creation. To manifest, we must unmanifest. To receive, we must unreceive. To become, we must unbecome. The tide erases backward because reality itself operates in reverse, from completion to inception, from fulfillment to desire. The practice of find a quiet moment near water, a lake, stream, or even a small bowl. Write your heart's desire on its surface, using your finger or a leaf. Watch mindfully as ripples dissolve your words. Feel the profound release as each letter returns to formlessness. Trust that in this dissolution you have not lost your desire. You have planted it in the fertile void where all manifestation begins. Chapter 15. The Sleep That Awoke the Dreamer. In the quiet hours before sunrise, Dottie sat cross-legged in her meditation chamber, struggling to master her nightly visions. Night after night, she attempted to seize control of her dreams through sheer force of will. She studied ancient texts on lucid dreaming, practiced visualization techniques, and kept detailed dream journals. Yet the more desperately she tried to command her dreamscape, the more it seemed to slip through her fingers like morning mist. Within your own consciousness lies this same dance between control and surrender. The universal law reveals itself through paradox. What you seek to master often masters you, while what you release returns transformed. One night, as Dottie fought to maintain awareness in her dream state, she witnessed an extraordinary sight. Her reflection in a dream mirror began moving independently, smiling with gentle knowing. As she reached out to touch the glass, her reflection spoke. "You believe you dream me, but I dream you." In that instant, understanding dawned like the first ray of morning sun. The distinction between dreamer and dream dissolved. She saw that consciousness itself was the dream, and the ultimate dreamer lay beyond both sleep and waking. This truth echoes through the chambers of existence. Reality is not what you perceive, but what perceives through you. When you believe yourself separate from the dream of life, struggling to control its flow, you remain caught in illusion. True mastery comes not from directing the dream, but from recognizing yourself as the dream being dreamed by the infinite. A wandering mystic once told of discovering a sacred pool in the mountains. Those who gazed into its depths saw not their reflection, but their true nature, pure awareness watching itself dream the world into being. Just as Dottie learned to surrender her grip on dreaming, the mystic discovered that the pool's wisdom flowed only when approached with open hands and an uncluttered heart. The law of reversed perception teaches that what appears as the dreamer is actually the dreamed, and what seems the dream is the true dreamer. This is not mere philosophy, but practical magic. When you cease struggling to control your reality and instead allow reality to dream through you, manifestation becomes effortless. In her final revelation, Dottie understood that trying to control her dreams was like a wave trying to control the ocean. She was not separate from the dream. She was the dream experiencing itself. In that acceptance, she found true freedom. Her nighttime journeys transformed from battlegrounds of will into dances of co-creation with the infinite. This wisdom extends beyond sleep into every moment of existence. You are not the author struggling to write your story. You are the story writing itself into being through the pen of universal consciousness. When you align with this truth, reality bends not to your will, but through your willingness to be dreamed awake. The practice. At dawn, whisper, "This reality dreams me kindly," and act as its loving author. Chapter 16. The Garden Beyond Harvest. At the edge of a barren field stood Harvey, his calloused hands gripping a worn hoe. Day after day he toiled under the scorching sun, working soil that refused to yield life. The earth lay dormant, mocking his efforts with its stubborn sterility. Yet within this apparent emptiness lay a lesson as old as cultivation itself. The principle of reciprocal time flows through all creation like an underground stream. What appears as cause and effect is merely the surface current. Beneath flows a deeper truth. Gratitude precedes abundance. One morning, as Harvey surveyed his fruitless labor, an ancient memory stirred within him. He recalled the previous year's harvest, golden wheat swaying in the autumn breeze, corn stalks heavy with ripened ears, vegetables bursting with vitality. Instead of lamenting the present barrenness, he felt his heart swell with thanksgiving for what had been. Standing in the middle of his field, Harvey raised his arms skyward and spoke words of profound gratitude. "I thank you, blessed earth, for the abundance you have already given, for every grain, every fruit, every sustaining morsel that has passed from your soil to my table. I am grateful." As the final syllable left his lips, tiny green shoots began emerging from the earth, first one, then dozens, then hundreds. The soil itself seemed to remember its fertile past, calling it forward into the present moment. Harvey watched in wonder as his field transformed before his eyes, teaching him the timeless secret. Gratitude does not follow abundance. It summons it. This truth mirrors an ageless tale of a desert wanderer who discovered an oasis by blessing the sand for water not yet found. The moment his heart filled with genuine thanks, springs burst forth from beneath his feet. Like Harvey, he learned that appreciation is not a response to blessing. It is the seed from which all blessings grow. You hold this same power within your consciousness. Every circumstance that appears lacking contains hidden abundance, waiting to be awakened by the touch of genuine gratitude. When you thank life for what seems absent, you activate the principle of reversed manifestation, drawing forth the very thing you appreciate from the infinite field of possibility. Harvey's revelation shows that the soil of your reality responds not to desperate tilling but to heartfelt appreciation. By blessing what appears empty, you fill it with the energy of completion. By thanking what seems barren, you remind it of its natural state of abundance. The practice. Thank your life for blessings already spent. They will regrow overnight. Chapter 17. The Song Rewound to Silence. In a dusty attic, Edith discovered an ancient gramophone and a collection of worn vinyl records. Among them lay a peculiar disc with no label, its grooves etched with mysterious patterns. As she placed the needle on its surface, an otherworldly melody emerged, but something felt incomplete, as though the music held secrets beyond its forward flow. Following an inexplicable impulse, she carefully rotated the record in the opposite direction, What had seemed like chaos transformed into a tapestry of sublime harmonies. Notes that had clashed now embraced, revealing patterns that transcended ordinary musical structure. Within this reversed symphony, Edith encountered the universal truth. Every discord contains its own resolution when perceived from a higher vantage point. The law of polarity teaches that all seeming opposites are identical in nature, varying only in degree. Yet few understand its deeper application, that by reversing perception itself, you access the hidden order within apparent disorder. What appears as confusion in one direction reveals itself as perfect design when experienced in reverse. Within the depths of this principle lies a profound secret. The universe composes in multiple dimensions simultaneously. What sounds like noise in linear time becomes symphony when heard through awakened consciousness. Every moment of discord serves as counterpoint in a grander arrangement, one that only becomes audible when you learn to listen backward through the layers of reality. Through the second record she played in reverse, Edith discovered that melancholic passages transformed into celebrations of joy, while moments of tension resolved into profound peace. This unveiled the sacred truth that every experience contains its opposite, waiting to be perceived through reversed awareness. Think of your own life's discordant moments, the situations that seem to lack harmony or purpose. Like Edith's backward-playing records, these experiences contain hidden frequencies of meaning. When you dare to interpret life's challenges in reverse, you discover that what appeared as random noise actually carries precise spiritual information. Just as Edith's reversed recordings revealed new harmonies, your own experiences contain layers of meaning that transcend their surface appearance. The key lies not in changing the events themselves, but in developing the ability to perceive their reverse implications, to hear the love singing beneath the apparent chaos. The sacred practice of polarity reversal invites you to move beyond surface interpretations. When circumstances seem harsh, reverse your perception to find the gift within the challenge. When relationships appear broken, listen for the harmony hiding in the discord. Every moment of confusion contains perfect clarity when heard through transformed awareness. The practice: replay one memory backward in compassion. Hear the love beneath noise. Chapter 18. The Lighthouse Beneath the Waves. Along a storm-beaten coast, a merchant captain named Bert scanned the turbulent horizon, searching desperately for the lighthouse beam that would guide his ship to safe harbor. Thunder crackled overhead as massive waves threatened to overwhelm his vessel. His eyes strained upward, seeking salvation from above, as generations of sailors had done before him. Yet, in that moment of desperation, something extraordinary caught his attention. A mysterious glow emanated not from the heights, but from the depths below. Beneath the churning surface, a radiance pulsed with steady rhythm, defying all conventional wisdom about navigation. The universe speaks in paradox. When you seek direction, your gaze naturally turns upward, toward the heavens, toward what appears higher and more enlightened. This instinct, though noble, often leads you away from the very wisdom you seek. The deepest truths lie not in elevation, but in descent. Just as Bert discovered that stormy night, illumination rises from the depths of your being. The light you seek does not beam down from external sources, but radiates upward from your inner knowing. This is the great reversal that transforms consciousness, understanding that guidance emerges from what appears to be darkness. Within the shadowed waters of your experience lie the brightest beacons of truth. Those moments you judge as your lowest often contain the most powerful revelations. What seems to be pulling you down is actually lifting you into greater awareness. When Bert finally surrendered his upward search and followed the submerged light, he found not just safe passage, but a profound realization. The universe guides through inversion. The light beneath the waves showed him that wisdom flows upward from depth, not downward from height. This principle extends beyond mere navigation. In your daily life, when you feel lost or uncertain, your instinct may be to reach above yourself for answers. Yet the clearest guidance waits in the depths of your present experience, no matter how turbulent it appears. Like the phosphorescent glow that saved Bert's ship, your inner light grows stronger the deeper you allow yourself to go. What appears as darkness is simply wisdom waiting to be recognized. Trust that your lowest points contain the seeds of your highest understanding. Sacred practice. Rest in silence and bring attention to your heaviest emotion, the one you most wish to avoid. Rather than trying to rise above it, sink fully into its depths. Notice the subtle luminescence that begins to emerge, like bioluminescent creatures in the deep ocean. This light, rising from what you feared was only darkness, will show you your true direction. Follow it with the same trust that Bert placed in the submerged radiance that guided him home. Chapter 19. The Voice That Answered. First. A humble temple stood at the edge of a quiet valley, where an old woman named Opal came each morning to offer her prayers. One dawn, as she knelt before the ancient stone altar, she began her usual petition. But something extraordinary occurred. Before the words fully left her lips, she heard them returning to her, as if the universe had already answered. Within this miraculous moment lies one of the most powerful secrets of manifestation. Every prayer you speak already contains its fulfillment, for the very ability to form the desire proves its existence in the spiritual realm. When you truly understand this principle, you recognize that asking and receiving are not separate events. They are one continuous circle of completion. The universe operates through reflection, not sequence. What appears to be a linear progression, first the request, then the answer, is actually a simultaneous exchange. Your consciousness already holds what you seek. Speaking it merely acknowledges what exists in the eternal now. Think of it like this. When you call into a canyon, the echo you hear isn't created by your voice. It's your voice returning to its source. Similarly, every desire you express is already echoing back from its fulfillment. The gap between asking and receiving exists only in time-bound perception. This wisdom transforms how you approach manifestation. Instead of beseeching an external power for future fulfillment, you're recognizing what has already been granted. The word prayer comes from an ancient root meaning to obtain by experience. When you pray with this understanding, you're not requesting, you're receiving. Just as Opal discovered her answers arriving before her questions completed, you too can align with this sacred principle. The key lies in approaching each desire from completion rather than lack. Begin each prayer with gratitude for what is already present in the spiritual realm waiting to materialize in your experience. Ancient practice. Before sleep tonight, reverse the traditional prayer format. Rather than asking for what you desire, begin with the words, "Thank you for," and speak of your wish as if it's already fulfilled. Feel the gratitude of completion flow through you as you acknowledge what has already been granted in the eternal now. The universe responds, not to what you want, but to what you recognize as already yours. Chapter 20. The Fire That Froze Kindly. In a time beyond memory, a wandering merchant named Warren carried the weight of impending change like burning coals in his heart. Each step toward transformation filled him with dread, expecting the fires of upheaval to consume everything familiar. Yet when he finally surrendered to the flames of change, something unexpected occurred. A cooling clarity washed over his being. The eternal law reveals itself. What appears as destructive fire is often the source of deepest peace. When you approach the flames of transformation with resistance, they burn hot and fierce. But when you step through them with acceptance, they transform into a cooling stream of awareness. Think of water. It appears to be fire's opposite, yet both share the power to purify and transform. This mirrors the greater truth. Apparent opposites are merely different expressions of the same force. Heat and cold, creation and destruction, resistance and surrender. These are not adversaries, but dance partners in the eternal ballet of becoming. The universe whispers this truth through every transition. What seems to destroy also creates. What appears to burn also cleanses. When you reverse your perception of fire, you discover its hidden nature as a purifying force that cools the fever of resistance. A shepherd in the mountains learned this wisdom when lightning struck his flock's favorite grazing field. Where he expected devastation, new growth emerged more vibrant than before. The scorched earth had become fertile ground. The destructive bolt had opened seeds that waited generations for fire's touch. Just as the shepherd discovered renewal in apparent destruction, you too can find serenity in the midst of change. The flames that seem to threaten your comfort may actually be nature's way of clearing space for greater peace. By reversing your relationship with fire, seeing it as an agent of cooling clarity rather than burning chaos, you transform its very nature in your experience. Ancient mystics knew this secret. The hottest fires, when entered willingly, become cooling waters of transformation. This is why the wise ones taught their students to burn in reverse, to let the flames of change flow backward through consciousness until they transmute into pure awareness. Sacred practice. Find a quiet moment and close your eyes. Visualize any turbulent situation in your life as flames. Rather than resist their heat, imagine them flowing backward through time, transforming into cool blue light. Feel this reversed fire washing through you, transmuting agitation into serenity. Let each breath draw in more of this cooling flame until peace glows from within. This is the alchemy of reversed perception, where fire becomes water and transformation brings tranquility. Part 3. The Mastery of the Backward Path. Chapter 21. The Glass That Poured Itself Full. In a village where wells ran deep with ancient wisdom, there lived a woman named Ida, who carried an earthen vessel to gather water each dawn. Day after day, she performed this ritual with careful attention, measuring her steps to avoid spilling a single drop. Yet, on this particular morning, something extraordinary occurred that would unveil one of the universe's most guarded mysteries. As Ida approached the well, she noticed her cup felt unusually heavy. Looking down, she discovered it already brimmed with crystal-clear water, though she had not yet lowered it into the depths. This impossible moment revealed the first truth. Supply precedes action in the eternal realm. The universe operates in reverse of what your physical eyes perceive. Just as a flower's perfume reaches you before you see its petals, abundance arrives before the apparent cause. This is not magic, but the natural law of manifestation, viewed from a higher perspective. When you gaze into an empty vessel with absolute knowing, you activate forces beyond the visible realm. Your expectation does not create the supply. It simply acknowledges what already exists in the infinite now. The water that filled Ida's cup was always there, waiting in the dimension of pure potential. Later that same day, a merchant passed through the village carrying precious oils in ornate containers. Upon seeing Ida's simple clay cup, he shared a tale of his own. In distant lands, he had witnessed holy men who could summon water from the air itself. Their secret lay not in supernatural power, but in recognizing that emptiness itself was an illusion. Every space already contains all it needs. This reveals the second truth. What appears as lack is merely abundance waiting to be recognized. Your cup does not need filling, it needs acknowledging. The very air around you swims with untapped possibilities, each one as real as the water in the well. Think of your desires as vessels already full, simply waiting for your awareness to catch up to their completion. When you reverse your understanding of sequence, seeing fulfillment as the beginning rather than the end, you align with the universe's natural flow. Ida's experience teaches that expectation is not mere hoping, it is the act of witnessing what the universe has already provided. Like a mirror reflecting an image before you turn to face it, your good already exists in the eternal now. Sacred practice. Take an empty vessel, a cup, a bowl, or simply cup your hands. Rather than seeing emptiness, recognize it as space already filled with unseen abundance. Speak gentle words of gratitude as though your desire has already manifested within it. Feel the weight of fulfillment, taste the sweetness of completion. This is not pretense, but preparation. You are simply aligning your awareness with what already is. Your empty spaces are not vacant, but pregnant with possibility, waiting for your blessed recognition to make visible what was always there. Chapter 22. The Stair That Descended Upward. Along a mountain trail walked a man named Earl, his shoulders bent beneath scrolls of sacred teachings. Each step upward brought new doctrines to master, fresh mysteries to unravel, additional practices to perfect. With each elevation gained, his burden grew heavier with knowledge, his mind more crowded with wisdom. For years he climbed, gathering teachings like precious stones, until his back curved beneath their weight. The higher he ascended, the more complex his understanding became, until one dawn, exhausted from carrying so much truth, he simply stopped. In that moment of surrender, Earl turned around. What he witnessed transformed everything he thought he knew about the spiritual journey. Below him stretched not a descent, but an invitation to simplicity. Each level he had passed contained not more, but less. The mountain was not a tower of accumulation, but a path of graceful reduction. The universe speaks through simplicity. Its greatest truths require no explanation, need no defense, and carry no weight. What you seek through endless gathering already exists in the space between your thoughts, in the pause between your breaths. When you release the need to acquire more, you discover that wisdom flows naturally toward emptiness. The masters of old did not climb to enlightenment. They descended into clarity. Their greatest achievement was not in what they gained, but in what they were willing to set down. Think of a cup filled to overflowing. To receive anything new, it must first empty itself. So too must the spiritual seeker learn to pour out the excess, to create space for truth to enter. This is the paradox of the backward path. What appears as descent actually elevates your consciousness. A shepherd passed Earl on the trail, carrying nothing but a simple staff. In the shepherd's eyes shone the peace that Earl had sought through years of study. This humble man had never climbed the mountain, yet he embodied its highest teaching. Simplicity is the final sophistication. The true seeker eventually discovers that enlightenment is not a distant peak to be scaled, but a return to ground level with new eyes. The journey upward is really a journey inward, and the path to mastery leads through the gateway of simplification. Ancient practice. Choose one spiritual practice that has become complex or burdensome. Today, strip it down to its simplest form. If you meditate with elaborate rituals, sit quietly instead. If your prayers are lengthy, speak from the heart in few words. Notice how reduction creates expansion, how simplicity magnifies power. Feel the lightness that comes when you allow yourself to do less and be more. Chapter 23. The Child Who Remembered Tomorrow. In a sunlit garden, young Millie sat weaving flower chains while telling stories of events yet to unfold. She spoke of birthdays not yet celebrated and friendships still to bloom with the certainty of one who had already lived them. Her laughter echoed across time itself as she described adventures waiting in tomorrow's dawn. The wisdom of ages flows most freely through those untouched by the world's rigid beliefs. In Millie's pure perception lay a truth the ancients guarded carefully, that time flows not in one direction, but dances in eternal circles. What appears as imagination to the sleeping mind is often reality's first whisper. Through her eyes, we glimpse the natural state of consciousness, one unbound by artificial divisions between past and future. The young soul knows instinctively what the wise spend lifetimes remembering, that all moments exist simultaneously in the infinite now. When her parents dismissed her stories as mere fancy, Millie continued undaunted. She understood without words that her experiences were no less real for being unlived by others' measure. In her wisdom lay the seed of manifestation's deepest secret, that joy felt fully in advance becomes the magnet drawing experience into being. Your own natural ability to remember forward still lives within you, waiting to be reclaimed. Like Millie, you once knew how to reach across time's illusion and grasp tomorrow's gifts. This knowing never left. It simply sleeps beneath years of learning to doubt. In your heart beats the same timeless rhythm that allows children to dance with future memories. Your imagination is not fantasy, but the soul's way of showing you what already exists in potential. When you play in these spaces between moments, you weave the very fabric of what will be. The second side of childhood is your birthright. Through Millie's story, we remember that manifestation requires only the innocent trust that sees all possibilities as equally real. equally present. Time bends willingly for those who approach it with a child's knowing smile. Ancient practice. Before sleep tonight, allow yourself to play freely in the garden of tomorrow. See your desired future with the vivid certainty of a child remembering a beloved story. Feel its reality so completely that your current moment has no choice but to reshape itself around this new remembering. Let your imagination lead you to what your soul already knows awaits. Chapter 24. The Wind That Waited. A gentle wind stirred through Perry's garden one autumn morning, then suddenly fell still. In that moment of perfect quiet, he sensed rather than saw the approaching storm. The air itself seemed to hold its breath, pregnant with possibility. Other villagers rushed to gather their belongings, seeing only the threat of dark clouds on the horizon. But Perry remained motionless, understanding washing over him like the first drops of rain. Within this sacred moment of suspension, a profound truth unveils itself to those who learn to listen with their whole being. The universe does not move from stillness to action. Rather, all action exists within stillness itself. What appears as waiting is actually the fullness of creation gathering its power. When you attune yourself to the rhythm of divine timing, you discover that patience is not passive delay, but active participation in the eternal dance of manifestation. Every pause contains within it the seeds of all motion, just as silence holds within it every possible sound. Consider how the oak tree exists, complete within the acorn's quiet shell, or how the symphony dwells whole within the conductor's lifted baton. These moments of apparent stillness are not empty spaces between events, but the very crucible of creation itself. The breezes that pause before storms teach us the secret of reversed perception. In conventional thinking, we believe calm precedes action. But when you invert this understanding, you realize that stillness is not the absence of movement. It is movement's essence distilled to its purest form. Picture a dancer frozen mid-leap. In that suspended moment exists all the power of motion, all the grace of the dance, all the energy of expression. Nothing is waiting to happen. Everything is happening within the pause. Through Perry's story, we learn that divine timing operates not through sequence, but through presence. What seems like delay is actually the universe orchestrating countless unseen elements into perfect alignment. The pause is not a gap to be endured, but a doorway to be entered. In your own life, those moments that feel like waiting are actually invitations to witness creation at its source. When circumstances appear to hold you in suspension, you are being offered a glimpse behind the veil of time itself. Here, in the pregnant pause, all possibilities coexist in perfect harmony. Remember, just as the storm exists within the calm that precedes it, your desired manifestation exists within this present moment of apparent stillness. By reversing your perception, you transform waiting into witnessing, and patience becomes participation in the divine dance of creation. Ancient practice. Sit quietly and observe the space between your breaths. In that sacred pause, feel the presence of all motion, all possibility, all manifestation. Let this moment of stillness reveal itself not as absence, but as the very essence of creation. Trust that what appears as waiting is actually the universe moving in ways too profound for ordinary sight to perceive. Feel the hush before change as proof of motion unseen. Chapter 25. the book that wrote its reader. In an ancient library tucked away from time, Elsie discovered a weathered manuscript whose words shifted as her eyes fell upon them. Each line seemed to form just moments before she read it, as if her thoughts were creating the text rather than following it. At first, this unsettled her. How could these chapters know her inner musings before she voiced them? Yet as she continued reading, a deeper understanding emerged, one that would transform her relationship with reality itself. The universe speaks through synchronicity, manifesting through the dance between observer and observed. What appears as separate, the reader and the text, the seeker and the wisdom, are merely two aspects of the same divine expression. You hold this truth in your hands now. These words form themselves in response to your consciousness, each paragraph a mirror reflecting the wisdom already within you. The text you perceive is not fixed but fluid, responding to your level of awareness and readiness to receive. When you understand this principle, every book becomes a living dialogue. The wisdom you extract is not simply information being transferred. It is your own consciousness recognizing itself through the medium of words. This is why the same passage can reveal different meanings as you evolve spiritually. This is not mere metaphor, but a fundamental law of consciousness. Just as light can behave as both wave and particle depending on how it is observed, wisdom shapes itself to match the observer's capacity to perceive. Your reading creates meaning in partnership with the text. Think of how these very words are forming in your mind right now. Are you merely absorbing them, or are you participating in their creation? Notice how your understanding shapes their significance, how your consciousness breathes life into these symbols on the page. The ancient mystery schools taught that all external reality is a projection of internal consciousness. When applied to the act of reading, this reveals that every text is actually a mirror, reflecting back to you the wisdom you are ready to claim as your own. As Elsie discovered, what appears to be a one-way transmission of knowledge is actually a sacred dance of co-creation. The words do not simply enter your mind, they emerge from the depths of your being, taking form in response to your readiness to receive them. Ancient practice. Let each word you read today pronounce, "You wrote me." Pause periodically while reading to acknowledge your role as co-creator of meaning. Watch as comprehension expands beyond mere intellectual understanding into direct knowing. Feel how the wisdom on the page awakens what was always present within you. Chapter 26. The Bell That Rang Before Touch. In the silence of dawn, Ralph discovered an ancient bronze bell in his garden, half buried beneath morning dew. As he reached to lift it, a clear chime rang through the air, yet the bell remained motionless in his hands. Puzzled, he waited, and only when he finally raised the bell did its physical tone match the sound he had already heard. This revelation opens a gateway to understanding the true nature of manifestation. The universe operates in reverse of what your physical senses suggest. Every material event is preceded by its vibrational announcement. The sound you hear before the bell rings is not an anomaly. It is the natural order unveiled. When you grasp this principle, you begin to recognize that your emotions are not responses to life's events, but rather the catalysts that summon them. Joy does not arrive after achievement. It calls achievement into being. The feeling of fulfillment does not follow success. It orchestrates the symphony of circumstances that create it. Think of your heart as a bell tower of consciousness. Each beat rings out across the fabric of reality, sending ripples through the quantum field. These vibrations arrange themselves into the physical circumstances that match their frequency. Your emotional tone is the architect of your experience. The secret lies in allowing yourself to feel the echo of what you desire before its physical manifestation. Just as Ralph heard the chime before the bell moved, you must cultivate the art of emotional precognition. This is not pretense or imagination. It is attunement to the subtle realm where all possibilities exist simultaneously. Your role is to become sensitive to these pre-echoes of manifestation. When you align your emotional frequency with the reality you wish to experience, you create a resonance that draws that reality into physical form. The universe responds not to what you think or do, but to the vibrational signature you emit. This is why gratitude is so powerful when felt in advance. It is not merely an attitude, but a frequency that bends time itself. When you genuinely feel thankful for something still unseen, you are actually hearing its approach in the subtle realms of creation. Ancient practice. Hear inside your chest the bell of completed joy. The world will resound soon after. Chapter 27. The Clockmaker's Daughter. In a dimly lit workshop, Jeanne sat before her father's collection of broken timepieces. The brass and silver faces stared at her, their hands frozen in various positions of surrender. Since childhood, she had watched him repair these delicate machines using traditional methods, always working forward, always following established patterns. One evening, as shadows lengthened across her workbench, Jeanne experienced an insight that would transform her approach forever. Instead of beginning with the obvious problem, she started at the end point of perfect function and worked backward. Taking apart a pocket watch her father had deemed beyond repair, she reversed every conventional step. Where others would tighten, she loosened. Where tradition demanded addition, she subtracted. As her hands moved in this contrary dance, something remarkable occurred. The gears began to emit a subtle luminescence, as though responding to this backwards grace. The universe whispers this truth through every mechanism. Healing flows in reverse. When you encounter what appears broken, the solution often lies not in pushing forward along familiar paths, but in unwinding the pattern that led to dysfunction. Each timepiece in Jean's care began to glow brighter as she worked backward through their wounds. The light emanating from within revealed that repair is not about forcing new solutions, but about unraveling old tangles. Time itself seemed to pause and reset as she discovered that transformation blooms most vibrantly when we dare to move counter to habit. In your own life, every pattern that seems stuck contains within it the seed of its own renewal. But that seed sprouts only when watered with reverse motion. The machinery of your circumstances, like John's watches, awaits not a forward push, but a gentle unwinding. Think of the habits that bind you, the routines that have become ruts. Their healing lies not in forcing new patterns atop old ones, but in carefully reversing the steps that created them. Each gear of your life holds light, waiting to be released through contrary motion. A clock that has stopped does not need more forward momentum. It requires the wisdom of reversal, the courage to undo before doing anew. Your circumstances are much the same. What appears as breakdown is often life's invitation to break free through backward steps. Practice. Do one routine backward today, respectfully. Walk a familiar path in opposite order. Feel freedom spark. Notice how this simple reversal awakens dormant awareness and releases new possibilities into your world. Chapter 28. The Candle with No Shadow. High in the mountains, where ancient monasteries perch like eagles' nests against the endless sky, Owen tended the sacred fires. Night after night, he maintained the eternal flames that had burned unbroken for centuries, watching their dance cast familiar shadows upon weathered stone walls. Yet one evening, as twilight wrapped the peaks in purple silk, he noticed something extraordinary, a flame that cast no shadow at all. The flame burned with unwavering intensity, yet where its light touched the walls, no darkness formed. It defied everything Owen knew about the nature of fire and shadow, light and dark. As he moved around it, studying it from every angle, he realized this flame burned both backward and forward through time simultaneously, existing in perfect unity with itself. This revelation unfolds a deeper truth. What appears as opposition is merely perception's limitation. Light and shadow, past and future, success and failure, these supposed dualities exist only in minds trained to divide wholeness into parts. The universe knows no such separation. When you observe closely, you discover that every apparent opposite contains its twin. Joy carries sorrow's seed. Loss holds gain's potential. Endings whisper beginnings. These are not truly opposites, but complementary aspects of an indivisible whole. The flame teaches that transcendence arrives not through choosing one side over another, but through embracing the unity that already exists. When you cease struggling against life's apparent contradictions, you find yourself at the still point where all seeming opposites dissolve into oneness. This wisdom echoes in the story of another seeker who discovered a similar flame in the depths of an ancient cave. As she sat before it, watching its shadowless dance, her own inner conflicts began to merge and dissolve. The barriers between her past and future, her fears and hopes, her limitations and possibilities, all melted into a singular awareness of present perfection. The flame that casts no shadow reveals that duality itself is the final illusion to transcend. In truth, there is no backward or forward, no light versus dark, no self against other. There is only the eternal now, expressing itself through infinite forms, while remaining forever unchanged. Sacred practice. Choose one paradox in your life. Perhaps success and failure, love and fear, or holding on and letting go. Sit quietly and hold both sides in your awareness without trying to resolve them. Watch as they begin to lose their apparent opposition. Feel them merge into a single flame of understanding that transcends both yet contains all. Rest in the peace of unified perception until you sense the artificial boundaries between opposites dissolving into pure presence. Chapter 29. The Circle That Drew Itself. In a sunlit studio, Grace sat before her canvas, brush poised in hesitation. For years, she had sought to capture divine perfection in her art, striving to create works worthy of her vision. Yet each attempt left her feeling that something essential remained just beyond her reach. One morning, as golden light streamed through the windows, she noticed something extraordinary. As she lifted her brush to begin, she saw traces of her intended painting, already shimmering on the canvas, gossamer lines of light that seemed to exist before her hand moved. Confused, she blinked, but the ethereal outline remained. Following these luminous suggestions, Grace allowed her brush to flow where the light led. To her amazement, each stroke revealed what was already there, as though she were simply tracing over a masterpiece that had always existed. She realized she wasn't creating at all. She was uncovering. This truth extends far beyond art. Your purpose is not something to be invented or discovered through endless searching. It exists already, complete and perfect, playing itself backward through time to meet you in this moment. What feels like forward motion toward a goal is actually the echo of fulfillment rippling backward through consciousness. Think of a river flowing to the sea. While it appears to move forward, its journey was completed the moment the first raindrop fell. The water's path exists in wholeness, expressing itself through apparent motion. So too does your purpose exist in completion, expressing itself through what appears as seeking. In the archives of an ancient temple, there is told a tale of a young scribe who spent years trying to write the perfect prayer. One day, in surrender, he laid down his quill and saw that every prayer he would ever write was already inscribed in light upon his heart. His task was not to create, but to remember, not to strive, but to allow. The secret lies in reversing your relationship with purpose. Instead of pushing forward toward some imagined perfect expression, allow yourself to be lived backward by the divine completion that already holds you. Your purpose is not waiting to be found. It is remembering itself through you. Sacred practice. Sit quietly and imagine your life's purpose as an already completed masterpiece. Rather than reaching forward to grasp it, feel it flowing backward through time to express itself as your present moment. Release all pressure to find or fulfill your purpose. Instead, recognize each breath as purpose remembering itself through you. Let your actions arise naturally from this awareness of completion, playing itself backward into now. Chapter 30. The Beginning After the End. In the stillness of a mountain temple, a weary seeker named Henry finally reached what he believed was enlightenment. After decades of spiritual practice, meditation, and devotion, he attained the pinnacle he had long pursued. Yet in that moment of supreme realization, an unexpected emptiness engulfed him. Where he expected fulfillment, he found himself adrift in a vast sea of uncertainty. For days, he wandered the temple grounds, troubled by this paradox. His achievement felt hollow, like reaching a summit only to find there was nowhere else to climb. But as he sat beneath an ancient tree one dawn, watching the sun paint the sky, understanding dawned within him. The emptiness he felt wasn't an ending at all. It was a doorway. Each step of his journey had been perfectly orchestrated, not to reach a final destination, but to prepare him for a deeper beginning. What appeared as completion was actually an invitation to start again, this time with eyes truly open. Just as a circle has no true endpoint, spiritual awakening wasn't a terminal achievement, but a return to the starting point with transformed vision. Henry realized that all his years of seeking hadn't led to an ultimate conclusion. They had taught him how to begin again with wisdom intact. This is the hidden truth that masters have guarded through ages. What seems like arrival is actually a graceful return. Every ending curves backward into a new beginning, carrying forward the essence of all that was learned. When you reach what appears to be the pinnacle, you discover it's actually the foundation of a higher spiral. The universe operates in cycles, not straight lines. Each completion is a commencement in disguise. What appears as an ending from one perspective reveals itself as an opening when viewed through awakened eyes. True mastery isn't about reaching a final destination. It's about recognizing the continuous nature of unfoldment. Sacred practice. Each time something ends, whisper, "Welcome home," and step through the invisible start. Feel the continuity of life's spiral, knowing that every conclusion opens a door to deeper beginning. If you enjoyed this audiobook, I created a free ebook version for you. You can download it using the link in the pinned comment. Conclusion. Gazing into the mystery of existence, you stand at what appears to be the end of your spiritual journey. Yet this finale shimmers with an unexpected quality. Like a film played in reverse, you witness how each step of mastery was already complete before you began. The secret reveals itself not as new knowledge, but as ancient remembrance flowing backward through time. The teachings you've gathered transform into a single truth. Reality bends not by force, but through gentle reversal of perception. When you thank tomorrow for its gifts today, when you feel the answer's warmth before the question forms, when you recognize that endings birth beginnings, the universe must respond. It cannot help but mirror your knowing back to you. This wisdom was never truly hidden. It was simply waiting to be read in reverse. The Kybalion's greatest mystery turns out to be the direction of its reading. Backward through illusion, inward through time, upward through simplicity. Every spiritual law operates in both directions simultaneously, like a river flowing both ways. Your awareness now holds this sacred key. Manifestation moves from completion to inception, not the other way around. Each desire fulfilled first announces itself as a feeling of already done gratitude. Each problem solved whispers its resolution before the challenge appears. This is not magic, but the natural order seen through reversed eyes. Keep this revelation close, not through rigid silence, but by embodying its truth so completely that words become unnecessary. Your very presence will radiate this understanding, that reality's film runs forward and backward at once, that every ending contains its beginning, that mastery means learning to dance with both directions in perfect harmony. The universe is your own reflection, adjusting its posture to match your reversed understanding. Learn this, but tell no one. Let your transformed life speak the language of miracles.
If you enjoyed this exclusive audiobook, I handpicked this next book which will change your life.